Never stop reading the Bible. Welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive into, well, some pretty intense chapters from the book of Job.
We are. Chapters 22 through 28. We're right in the middle of Job's suffering, and his friends are still offering their advice.
Yeah, advice being the operative word. We're going to look at that clash, their perspectives versus Job's own questions to God.
Absolutely. So chapter 22 kicks us off with Eliphaz again, and this time he's really direct.
No more hinting around.
Not really. He basically accuses Job point blank, lists things like exploiting people, ignoring the hungry, being unjust.
Wow. So he's saying, Job, you did do these things, and that's why you're suffering.
Pretty much. It's that simple cause and effect logic he's pushing. Repent, and things will get better. Classic, but, well, harsh, given the situation.
Right. And Job, in chapter 23, he's clearly not buying it. He sounds exhausted by them.
Totally. He expresses this deep desire, like, if only I could find God, I'd lay my case before him. He seems done with his friend's explanations.
But there's still that core of faith, isn't there? Even in the middle of that yearning and frustration.
Yes, that's key. He says, he knows the way that I take. When he's tested me, I shall come out as gold.
Yeah.
Job 23:10. So there's trust underneath the pain.
Then chapter 24 shifts gears a bit. Job looks outwards.
Yeah, he observes the world and asks, well, what about the wicked? Why do they seem to prosper? Why aren't they punished immediately?
That's such a powerful, timeless question, isn't it? It pushes back hard against that neat suffer-sin equation his friends keep using.
Exactly. He's pointing out the messy reality that doesn't always fit simple formulas. How do you explain that if God is just? It's a real challenge.
And then Bildad pipes up in chapter 25, but it's surprisingly short.
Very short. Almost like he's running out of arguments. He just emphasizes God's majesty, how great God is and how insignificant humans are.
Sort of a who are you to question God approach again?
Basically, how can any mortal be righteous before such a powerful God? It doesn't directly address Job's points about the wicked, though.
So Job responds in chapter 26, and he actually agrees about God's power, right?
He does. He gives this amazing description of God's power over creation, the heavens, the sea, Sheol. It's quite poetic.
But then he turns it back on his friends.
Right back at them. He basically says, sure, God is powerful, but your words, they're weak, they haven't helped. He criticizes their shallow understanding.
So that sets up chapter 27, where Job starts what feels like his final big defense.
It seems that way. He maintains his integrity, his innocence. He insists he hasn't sinned in the way they accuse him.
And he comes back to the wicked prospering, but with a different angle.
Yeah, he argues that, okay, maybe the wicked do prosper for a time, but it's temporary. He insists that divine judgment will come eventually. Their success won't last.
Okay, so after all that intense back and forth, chapter 28 feels like a pause, a shift in focus.
A big shift. It's this beautiful poem, really, about wisdom. Where can wisdom be found?
And it explores all the places humans look for valuable things, mining for gold, silver, jewels.
Exactly. Humans are incredibly skilled at finding hidden treasures in the earth. But wisdom, that's different.
It says wisdom can't be bought, can't be found by human effort alone. So where does it come from?
Ultimately, the chapter concludes, wisdom belongs to God. It's found in fearing the Lord.
The fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to shun evil is understanding. Job 28:28.
That's the verse. It connects wisdom not just to knowing things, but to reverence and right living.
So looking at these chapters, 22 to 28, you really see this deep tension playing out. Job's lived experience of suffering, his friends' theological boxes, and this bigger question about divine wisdom.
Which often seems hidden, or at least operates on a level we don't fully grasp.
It leaves you thinking, doesn't it? How do you hold on to faith when understanding fails? When things just don't seem to add up in the way you expect?
A question Job embodies, and maybe one for you listening to consider in your own life.
This deep dive comes to you from the Center Studio.